I don't even know.
You don't know.
Nah, do you know what? I'm just gonna freestyle this. It's Friday.
Please do. It's Friday. Don't give yourself any more stress. Rain's recording. We're here. We're the panel. Huzzah!
Yes, people. Panel lockdown session season 2. Oh gosh, can't even. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, hi. I'm Blacklisted. To my left, we have
no one. There's actually
No
no
one.
one there.
Right, we have
Mills GP.
upstairs.
Rain _Nelson _445.
And Will Dance.
Boom. Let me just jump in for Pedro. So what it is, this is season 2 of the panel lockdown sessions, but we're not necessarily in lockdown no more. So we had a bit of an idea where what we wanted to do is to have something which was live and rolling, where people dropped in, asked a question, get involved with some of our debate, and then they drop out, so to speak. So they get about 5 minutes, ask the panel a question, we'll try to answer it, whether it be, well, we'll try to answer it, and then we move on. So currently, as it stands, we've got 4 people in the waiting room. Pedro, I believe you've got a lead question. What I'll do, I will bounce people in as we go on, and then bounce them out. So Pedro, over to you.
Yeah, so we're going to kick this off with a very topical discussion. And the question I want to put out there is, do you think sneakerheads today are entitled?
Yes. Let's bounce the first person in. No, I'm joking. You know what it is? I think, yeah, it's like it's a, and you know what? I'm going to get cut straight to the chase. So obviously there's a, I don't want to call it a resurgence, because people that are continuously buying dunks don't see it as a resurgence. It's just like normal day-to-day being. But what it is, the dunks are in the forefront of everybody's mind. So chunky dunkies, Sibyllis, B Brickle, blah 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 blah. Now, the people who are, oh look at that, oh hold on, Pedro, did you get the memo? Pedro, what? You got to read your emails, bro. You're letting the team down. But anyway, SB collectors are collecting. Sneakerheads now, because some of this stuff is quite rare, they believe that they should have it over the actual SB collectors. Now, in my mind, I'm like, if you're a collector, yeah, put your ring in the hat, but there are people that should take precedence, so to speak, and that's the people that are getting on their skateboards, skating around, dropping off, doing all them kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So the entitlement comes when people say, "Rah, I should have this because I've got X, Y, Z," but they don't skate. Which you don't need to necessarily skate. But then there's the other flip side of it. Of there's a shop that wants to do things their way for people who support them, and people are upset with that shop because that's how they want to operate. Now, it's a good thing I'm not a retailer, because if I was a retailer, the people that I know that support me, come into my shop on a daily basis or every week or whatever it may be, they're getting everything they want, as long as I get my shit first. But then they're going to get whatever they want. And I don't business who wants to vex.
I hear that.
Right.
I hear
Hello.
that. Yes.
Hello?
Talk to us, brother.
Right. So I agree with that whole that statement that you said in regards to if it the skate shops, if they want to cater to their dedicated customers fully, they should be able to just take care of all their regular customers, blah, blah, blah. In regards to the whole skating thing, then imagine if you extended that to every other form of trainer. So should only people that run get runners? Should people that play basketball should only get basket, or should be catered to basketball trainers first before anyone else? So I agree with a skate shop. If you've got regular customers, they should get everything because they've been the loyal ones. But then where do we break it up in terms of only skateboarders should get SBs and only basketball players should get basketball shoes? Because none of us, we don't do any of those things regularly.
Yeah, I get it. And you know what it is? There is an argument for and against, you know what I mean? That's my viewpoint is like, collectors are probably those who are out there collecting everything from the Travis Scott Jordan 6 to the Off-White Jordan 4 to whatever else comes out on a weekly basis. These skate shop dudes are literally only collecting the SBs.
Yeah.
So if they want to do stuff a little bit different, like whatever, I don't even care. You know what I mean? I don't really business.
Man like Rain don't care.
So is it a question of participation or supporting the business? Because if we're going to follow your logic or the idea of your logic, Dwayne, then you have certain businesses that kind of do cater for different different sports. So your brands themselves, they all sell products across the spectrum of sports. You have outlets that do the same thing. It's only, I guess, skate shops that only cater to a specific, I don't know, sector, so to speak.
Yeah, they are very specific compared to everyone else. But a sport is still a sport. So I agree with Rain in terms of if a skateboard shop just wants to cater to their core audience who comes in week after week or chills out with them and will buy a t-shirt or a skateboard and whatnot, go ahead. That is fine. But then where do we go from there? And also, should it be, because one thing that we touched on is, should it be expected to have a lot of people that aren't in that demographic support that store when there's no chance of them actually being able to win from that store?
So just to so I'm just going to say we've let in. So obviously we've got a waiting. I don't want to say a full waiting room, but we've got a waiting room of people. Patrick E. I don't actually know who Patrick E. is. That's the wickedest thing, and I probably should. You might want to unmute yourself and put your video on, Patrick, so we can get you involved in the conversation.
Hey, the guy.
You know what?
Boom, skeng.
My son's making way too much noise, so I'm trying to put him to sleep. I don't want to disturb the conversation.
No, we heard him, but it's all right. It's not BBC, man. We're not on Sky News.
Give me 2-3 minutes.
All right, then cool.
Right.
I'm gonna pop you on mute. BG's taking too long to connect, so I'm gonna bounce in Anthony.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh,
You good?
So what about me? Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Welcome to the panel.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
Thank you. Right, let's go then. All right.
All right, so the question is, do you think sneakerheads are entitled?
Oh, that's a good one, you know.
Ask good questions. Come on now.
All right, quick one. I think if you've been in this game for the longest and you've put the work in, then to a certain degree, yes, I do think certain people are entitled, depending on, I wouldn't say they're entitled every single time, but certain times, yes, especially if you've been in this culture of, collecting or, whatever you do with your trainers, as long as you're wearing them or whatever. Yeah, I think to a certain degree, yes, to that answer, yes.
I think Anton has taken the question the other way around. So I get your answer. So when Pedro says entitled, he means are sneakerheads, do they feel that they should get everything? What you're saying is, you're saying that they are entitled if they've got big collections, meaning entitled to get anything that they want, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, I think, so, yeah, in other words, yeah. I don't, you know what, that question is such like a,
Well, Anton, in fairness, everybody from London understood it.
Just saying.
We're going to go with that one then. Oh, okay. All right. Say no more then, yeah? Say no more.
All right, let's move on to your question then. Go for it.
All right then. First one I've got is, last decade I thought it was a great year for sneakers. From 2010 to 2019. Which year would you say, this is to all of you, like which year would you say was the best year for sneakers from the last decade?
That's
Can only pick
question.
1 year. 1 year.
From what year, sorry?
Pardon,
that again.
Dwayne?
From what year?
2010 to 2019. Which year, in your opinion, was the best year for sneakers? I can answer that. For me personally, being holistic, giving a holistic view, I'll say 2012, the year that the Yeezy 2s came out. For me, I reckon that year actually started the whole explosion of the sneaker culture becoming mainstream. So for me, 2012.
Okay.
Yep.
Emil?
When
You
did
just say, yeah.
when did the Foamposite Galaxies come out?
2012.
2012, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that was the whole battle with between Adidas and their Prime Knit and Nike with their Fly Knit.
Yes.
Not,
Yeah.
Adi, Adi with the, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with you. Yeezy 2s,
Fly Knit Racers.
yeah,
Yeah.
Fly Knit Racers, the Foamposite Galaxies.
Top darts.
Oh wait, so that was like 2014.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking.
But yeah, 2012 is a strong time, and you can still queue up then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That.
Yeah, cool.
Another year, very quickly, which runs a close second, is 2015. The year Adi and Yeezy first brought out the 350s, the Turtle Doves.
Oh, yes.
Again, I would say it's another milestone in terms of sneaker culture and so on and so forth. No, let me hold back. I could say a lot in regards to. I think that decade in itself is a super strong decade generally. But yeah, that's my viewpoint without saying too much more.
Yeah,
Right.
2012.
I'm in agreement. I think that Kanye West kind of Yeezy kind of time was a mad time, and it kind of, I don't want to say that it kick-started the scene or restarted the scene, but a lot of people started to take a lot of interest or a lot more interest or got back into it because of that. Now, is that because Kanye West is the #1 influencer in the world, or was it the time? I don't know, but he did a lot, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that got me back into it, because I was kind of drifting out and then came back in and kind of dipped my head in and came back out. But when I saw all that happening, it just kind of said, raw, like the sneaker game that I was a part of, where it was like TL98s and some of the Air Max 95s and whatnot, the OG models, it's like, I hadn't seen anything that was as good as that, and I still haven't. But seeing that kind of resurgence and people running around and doing all that, I thought, yeah, man, yeah. So I'll say that 2012 era.
Okay. Can I answer my own question?
Yeah, sure.
Suppose you can.
For me, it was a hard one, but I'm going to go with 2017 for one reason, and I would say it's because I feel like 2017 was the year where Nike had to get their act together, and they did. It was like they were, it was like the Empire Strikes Back, because 2015 and 16, they were all right years, but they were, you know what I mean? Adidas, especially 2016, I felt like Adidas had their had a great year, especially in 2015 with like, the NMDs, the Ultra Boost, the Yeezys, all that. So I feel like 2017 with the anniversary Air Max 1s, the Silver Bullets
Off-Whites.
97s, Off-Whites. It was, I feel like 17 with the, with the sneaker app. There's loads of things I can remember in 2017. I just felt like that was the year. Sorry, Emil.
So I'm gonna agree with Pedro on 2012, and there's two reasons why. The first reason is 2012 was when fashion brands started taking notice in streetwear from the 2012 Olympics, and then that's where that's where the whole transition of sneaker culture changed. It was all from 2012. Secondly, as well, this was from working at Film House at the time. 2012, Film House, for those who don't know, that's Nike head office in the UK. And back then, from Oregon, Portland, what they were saying was that, right, the way that females shop is completely different to males. Females shop modular, and that's where they started changing all of the departments in their stores. So where previously you had training, which would have men's and women's, whatever other department, running, men's and women's, whatever, they put everything for women's all into one place because they realized that women shop differently to men. So all of this thing where people are like, oh, brands haven't been doing anything for females for the longest while. They've been analyzing trends since 2012, 2011. But 2012 was when they actually started implementing it through different retailers, from Harrods to Nike Town to wherever else. But yeah, that's what 2012 became. And not because of product or anything, it's just because of the two changes in sneaker culture, I suppose.
Okay, cool.
Is that it? Is that all your question?
Fuck you, Pedro.
I got two more. Am I allowed to ask? Am I allowed to ask another two?
Ask one more, and what we're going to do, we'll bring in Patrick. He can take the lead on answering it, and then we'll all go around, and then Patrick will take the reins.
Yeah, that's cool. That's blessed. My next question is, why do you feel that most people don't seem to care about Adidas Superstars?
Oh,
I do.
I just realized.
Get out of here with your question.
Get out of here, man.
I've got everything on cue. Everything's on cue. Say somebody else. Just go and put it up.
All right, then.
Say fragment. Seriously, say it.
What? Say what?
Say fragment.
What, fragments? Oh, no. I did not test side.
Everyone was like, what the hell? No.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
I was about to go, rah!
Superstar. So what was the original question?
Sorry, it was, why do you feel most people don't seem to care about superstars? Adidas Superstars.
Because Adidas don't care about superstars. That's why.
oh.
Patrick. I don't that bombshell.
You know what? I don't think Adidas really understand what they've got with the superstar. You know, the superstar. That the name itself, it speaks for itself. That shoe there, you can't go wrong with it. Even with some of the maddest colors. Remember that period when they went through the Kermit the Frogs and all those different crazy ones? You could still
Adi color pack.
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt. And the 35th anniversaries, to me, that was one of the best things Adidas ever did. The 35th anniversary superstars. That whole thing was Adidas as good as it got, in my opinion, when they did in terms of the whole pack thing.
I think every sneakerhead who has been doing it before Instagram has to comfortably say that they have a pair of superstars on deck. Like, they have to have at least one. You cannot, like, superstars for me are like when I first started teaching, I actually wore them to teach, and the kids didn't understand at the time. And then they started seeing people like Snoop and all these West Coast rappers, and then they saw obviously the Run DMCs who they didn't know. And they're like, okay, this is a shoe. Like, they started to understand it. So when you ask a question like, why don't people care? It's like, which people are they? I want to know who they are. Because if they're under like 25, if they're under 25, I don't think I care about their opinion on the superstar.
Wow.
I don't mean that. Hey,
That's
I don't mean that in
body,
any
bro.
negative way. I don't mean that in any negative way. I'm not here for that.
No.
That's just my opinion.
Would you guys say that the superstar is Nike's equivalent to the Air Force One?
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I think also as well, to answer your question, Anton, I feel, and I'm happy to be corrected, Adidas, to some degree, do not understand their customer base. And in a way, it's not really their fault. I think sneakerheads we've seen this year, we're quite fickle and flippant people. We jump on one hype to the other very, very quickly. And so to try and pitch a shoe that has a real strong history to today's clients who are chasing after the freshest hype, there is going to be a certain air of apathy to the shoe. No one know, like you mentioned, Patrick, there'll only be certain people that will not understand that shoe. So, but it's something that Adidas, I believe Adidas needs to work on. Some people will argue, oh yeah, Adidas do understand their customer base. But if that was the case, then some of the models that have come out this year would have had a stronger reception. And I think that proof is in the pudding. Yes, Dwayne.
So they've got a really strong model that can adapt to anything, like a white on white Air Force One. However, they do amazing things, like Anton said,
this
with
guy, what's he flexing for?
with the 35th year anniversary.
Uh-huh.
Very strong, very well thought out. They do something great like that, and then it's just they just fumble the ball, so to speak. So the energy that goes into that one pack then isn't applied to anything else. And plus, when you're not getting it into the right people's hands or to continue it down the generations, like an Air Force One, like regardless of what generation you have, they all know about an Air Force One. It doesn't carry over the same way, because they may do it, but it doesn't carry over the same way with a superstar. Like their last campaign, I think it was Beyonce, Pogba. They're not known for these things or known for their fashion. So when you're seeing them with it, it's a bit forced and
That's the
not
word.
relevant.
It's forced. It's forced.
You know what breaks my heart about it is? Sorry, go on.
No. I think that you hit the nail on the head. It looks like it's forced. They look like they've been paid to promote it. Whereas when people wear Air Force Ones, even if you can see that it's a marketing campaign, they look like they want to be in that shoe. It just works. Whereas like the Beyonce one, I saw it and I just thought, this is just marketing. I'm being marketed to. Like this is. I'm not interested. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
What's breaking my heart is it's supposed to be the 50th anniversary this year for them, and I think it's just been, well, I think we already know it's not been a great year for superstars. It's supposed to be the year for it, and so far we're coming near the end of the year, and we haven't had anything really much from Adidas.
Can we blame COVID for that?
No.
I
The
just
reason being,
Sorry, I'm going to say one last thing. Let's put it into context. Jordan 1 Dior, Prada superstar.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing bare breathing. This is what I'm saying. Like it just doesn't hit correctly. And even in terms of the build up to it, one, you see your most current people rocking it, and we know people rock Jordan 1s on a regular anyway. So to see them in a Dior Jordan 1, hype builder. You're not really seeing people in superstars considering it's the 50th anniversary. So to then just see a Prada superstar come out of nowhere doesn't do it for anyone, really. And I'm not saying it's a bad collab either, but it just doesn't hit the same.
and the other reason why you can't blame COVID is that irrespective of what's happening with the pandemic, these companies should have a 3, 5, potentially 7, and then a 10-year plan in regards to releases on what they're going to do. That superstar was sat on someone's board, and someone hasn't picked it up and run with the marketing with it. If you think about the Dior Jordan 1, we saw images of that. Well, it only released 2 months ago, but we saw images with some of the celebs sitting on cars and all of that ages ago. But the Prada, like, have you seen anyone with it?
Oh,
Have you seen any seeding happening with it? Now I know it's an expensive shoe. I think it's £400, but Where's the seeding list? Who
Well,
they sent it to? Where's the promotional campaign?
£400, £2,000.
Yeah.
So even the price doesn't make it any more justifiable as to why you're not seeing it in people's hands or people's feet.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Say no more. Should we get Patrick? Should we?
Yeah, let's get Patrick before I kick out Anton. Let's get Patrick. Patrick in. Anton can answer the question, and then we can bring somebody else in, and then say bye.
Oh boy.
So what's the question, Pete?
You know what? I came to listen. You know, I thought I was just going to be that guy that would just chill and just laugh and sit in the background.
Oh, no, you can't do
No,
that.
you better think of something.
No, you can't be doing that. No.
He made a good point yesterday. I can't remember his name, man, on the actual panel Instagram page, and he was talking about age, which is something that I would have brought up. Now, I think we're all relatively in the same bracket here. I've always been that person that I'll go into a shop and they think I'm weird. I'll go into a shop and I'll pick up a shoe and I'll say, how many people have bought these since they've been released? Like, ballpark figure. And they say it's not popular, and I say, cool, that's the one that I want. Like a JD Sports, I know that all the school kids go in there and they buy what they buy. I don't want to wear what they're wearing, even if it's not popular. Like, I like to kind of try and go against the grain. That's why I like to look at the sales racks and all the rest of it. So I guess I'm going off of where I was going now. But what I want to ask and put out to be discussed is, when you hit 40, so that's me in 8 months. Yeah, Pedro, I'm looking at you. I can kind of, anyway. Yeah, when you hit 40, are the air bubbles something that you need to start decreasing? Do you need to start looking more at your classic shoes, your Stan Smiths, your Mizunos, your Asics? Is air bubble, does it become a bit like, do you become a parody of yourself once you hit middle age and you're wearing air bubble?
How old do you feel?
Is this question's to me then, yeah?
How old do you feel?
Hello?
Wait, who are you asking?
I'm asking me.
Go, Anton. You go first, Anton.
All right. No, I think you can wear whatever you feel you want to wear. At the end of the day, age is just a number. So if you want to wear Yeezys at age 50, that's up to you. Because again, it all just depends on where you were at that period of time. And if you want to wear it, you can wear what you want. So I know at age 50, the likelihood is I'm still going to be wearing Air Bubble, an Air Max, or whatever. So I buy what I like, and I'm going to wear what I'm going to wear regardless of the age.
Yeah.
Emil.
Fuck knows, isn't it?
You know, it might not even be an age thing. I think for me, like, I look at what my school kids wear. If I like it, it's cool. It's like, yeah, okay, that works. But if it's too popular, even if I do like it, I'll be like, I just want to go somewhere else and do something different.
Ooh, you're a fan of the anti-hype.
I kind of get what you're saying, but I think one of the beauties of, and assuming this applies to most who are older, the beauties of adulthood is that you can buy something which is hype and you don't necessarily need to wear it when everybody else is wearing it. So if something releases today and then you see all the kids wearing their Travis Scott ones out on the road and you got a pair, you just keep them down for 2 years' time. You know what I mean? And the other thing with age as well, I think the line gets blurred is where people are wearing trainers which don't necessarily suit the attire that they're wearing. Now, I get the whole thing of you might wear suits to work and then you want to wear the Travis Scott one, and sometimes it works. But I've seen some humdingers out there where people are just on a madness, and I'm like, boy, you might have the trainers, but what you've done there just doesn't work. Save that, or save them to the weekend. You don't need to wear them when you're on your way to the city or when you're going to do whatever it may be.
Mr. Van Wheeljams.
So for us older crowd in the sneaker game, I think one of the best things we have in regards to sneakers is nostalgia. So with that, I feel that if you've got the confidence, because that's what it comes down to, in my opinion, if you've got the confidence to rock a 95 or whatever, then do so, because it's more relevant to you than these youngsters. And as Rain said, you don't necessarily need to rock it the same time. I remember when I was in primary school, I had a teacher that was wearing the neon 95s, and if they came out tomorrow, I would rock them, because I've got that connection with them over someone that's going to buy them today. That's like one of our students. I've got plenty of students like yourself that will see me rocking stuff. It's like, oh, sir, I know someone that's got more trainers than you, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you don't, number one, but...
Let's just set the record straight.
But also, I think if you've got an attachment to it, then it shouldn't matter if a student's rocking it or someone else is picking it up, for you to appreciate it and take it on board as your own.
I'm gonna throw something out there. I think over the last few years, for me personally, the colours I'm going for are less leery, less loud. They're more muted. So more in terms of what Rain would pick up: blacks, blues, really simple designs.
Man dragged you into that, bro.
So
I was just looking for the Union 4s, but I think they're in the other room.
Oh,
I'm joking.
So for me, my colours have become more, they're not as leery, they're not as loud. Say like 10, 15 years ago, it would have been Air Force 180 Unions. Now, they're just the Bred 4s. So, my colours are more muted. They're understated. And I think it's in keeping with my age. But to Anton's point, wear what you feel to wear, because you're confident in what Dwayne said. You're confident because you can rock it. You can put an outfit together. Right. Should we bounce Anton? Huh?
More than that, just wear what makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. That's it.
That too.
So we've had an addition, Patricia Marshall. You may want to turn on your video, Patricia. I was going to call you Trish, but that might be disrespectful. So I'm going to call you Patricia, as that's what it says on the screen. But we can't see you, we can't hear you.
We need your visuals.
Please.
Rain, what happened to your beard?
Huh?
What happened to your beard, man? You're looking young out here, man. Looking younger than me. Looking young, fresh to death, man. Look at this.
Yeah, I thought Notting Hill Carnival was happening.
It still is, bruv. It still is, bruv. You could do VR, bruv.
Oh, my days.
I think Patricia might be having issues, so I think we might need to just press on. I know you had one more question, and Anton, so you might want to just lend that one out.
Yeah, right. The last one is, who do you feel is the most influential person in the sneaker game right now? Who is
Me.
the most...
Me. I
I'm
am.
not laughing at you, Pedro. I'm laughing at Emil.
Well, in fairness, Pedro's shoot with Puma catapulted it.
Yes. Yes.
Next stop, CEO, bruv.
Hey, come on now.
Hey?
I don't know, man.
But the most influential influencer right now. Do you know what? It's still Kanye. I think it's still Kanye, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, some people will say Travis Scott, Virgil, and I can see why they would say that. But yeah, Kanye's changed the game.
Without a Kanye, the brands would not have switched on to sign on other people.
Basically.
Can I also throw in there, and I still think Michael Jordan is to a certain degree, even the kids are not 100%, about Michael Jordan, he's, you know, as a basketball player, but they still know who Michael Jordan is. And I still think his brand is still influential. I still think Michael Jordan's still in the top five, you know, in the top 10, maybe in the top 5.
Top 5, man.
There you go.
Definitely,
So,
definitely. Well,
yeah,
the
I
thing
still
is,
think
everyone that has influenced the sneaker game has had the Jordan model as their basis to go to. Kanye's claim was that he was so influential, he made Jordans cool again, and then his own Yeezy shoe was modeled off Jordan and the Nike Mag. So it all does refer back to Jordan anyway. Travis the Jordans, Off-White the Jordans, which then you could build and expand to other models.
You know, it's crazy though. Growing up, how we were influenced by sports personalities, not really music personalities, and now like we're older, the whole thing's turned around. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is.
because remember, Michael Jackson had his own LA Gears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he actually did.
Yeah, he did some high something, man.
Speaking of Michael Jackson, what do you lot think of the Jordan Night Track, the Jordan 1 Low Night Track?
I've got that.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I've got that.
The one that dropped recently, what, the other day?
What one?
They did a Jordan 1 Low Night Track.
A Jordan 1?
Yeah.
Lows.
Oh, wow.
They're
Hello.
lows, right?
Yeah, those.
What are you gonna say,
Silver-
Pedro? What are you gonna say,
Let me
Pedro?
back out
Lows.
this conversation then.
Say what,
Huh?
Rain?
No, what are you gonna say? You said they're lows. They're lows. What are you gonna say?
Yeah,
What was
they're
you gonna say?
lows. Because I know what Dwayne's thinking of, and I'm like, it's not the same shoe. You can't have had that.
Yeah. I was just talking about the original Nike
Yeah.
track,
Oh yeah.
not the
I know
Jordan 1.
Oh.
They're all
And
right.
Emil will put that picture in the middle somewhere around.
Maybe not. There's 6 of us. Well, I'm gonna see what you do with this because this is gonna be a madness for the edit.
Oh.
I like the shoes. I like those night track shoes. If for those that haven't seen, well, you won't see it because it's on these stories. But they're basically silver shoes with a red swoosh and a red sole, based off the night track shoe. But I think they're all right. Yeah, they're just Jordan 1 lows. They're all right shoes. What more is there to say? See, yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, let's keep the convo moving. What, I know we've kind of discussed him in the past in regards to Sean Wotherspoon, and I know Rain has already flashed the shoes. What are your thoughts? What are our thoughts on the Super Earth Wotherspoon shoes? Do we like? Do we not like? Is it something Adidas should have done? Should they not have bothered? What are our thoughts?
Would he let Adidas take a shit in his mouth?
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, we knew that was coming.
Wow.
We knew that was coming.
Wow.
That's probably the smartest. I think that might be one of the smartest things, even if they did it on purpose or not, that Adidas did put Sean on the superstar and see if they can sell them, basically. Sell that shoe and maybe. So I think that was a good idea.
The shoe is decent, but I have no love, or it doesn't mean anything that it's Sean Wotherspoon, Super Earth, Captain Planet, Save the Dolphin shoe. It don't. And his jumping from brand to brand hasn't helped that either. Because there was the Nike thing, he should have stuck there. Then he's jumped over to Asics, and before the Asics dropped, he's already promoting the Adidas Superstar. So he's just all over the place to the point where you're not really concerned with his input into a shoe because it basically feels like nothing.
Dwayne, let me ask you this. Oh, well, let me ask everyone this. Based off your remark just there, do you think Sean has diluted his own brand, given that he was originally a Nike fanboy and now he is pimping himself out to all the other brands? Do you think he's diluted his own brand?
100%, because he hasn't even given the consumer enough time to buy into each brand he's worked with. It's not like he jumped into Asics's hands and worn a whole load of Asics and been like, yeah, that's really cool. Then dropped his, then allowed enough time to then jump onto another brand. It's literally been Nike, we know you love that. Then you've moved, aka to another brand. You've jumped on Asics, and before that's even finished production, you're showing us at Adidas.
Is that though? Is there something to be said about the contract or the contracts he had with the brands? Because the Nike, you could, a lot of us have either worked with or done stuff with Nike or understand how Nike works. Now, that Nike contract, you know, when you get it, when they say you're a part of a project, you can't look at anything or breathe next to anything for a period of time. And if we think about how Adidas have treated the 50th anniversary of the superstar, do you think that they just didn't write this stuff into his contract, or they gave him free rein? Maybe they thought he was this massive sneaker trainer entity who was able to sell units, so they didn't give him the fine print to say, well, you can't do anything over there or you can't do anything over there. Maybe the same thing with Asics.
Well, he was with Asics first, I think, and then he went from Asics. Then I think between that time he signed with Adidas, and then, like Dwayne said, he's kind of not giving the Asics shoe a chance to breathe for people to, you know, the shoe first and then move on to Adidas. But that's Adidas probably rushing him as well. So come on, let's get this ball rolling. There's no time to be racing. Let's just keep this moving. And like you said, now he's had, you know, 2 shoes back to back come out from 2 separate brands, and yeah.
The thing is, in terms of storytelling, you haven't even allowed me to read the whole book yet before you've given me another one to look at.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. I actually like that, Dewey.
How did the Asics do this?
Sorry,
I don't think they've dropped yet.
Are they not?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think
they dropped in Asia.
I think the pairage is so small, so limited, or the run was so small, is that they're destined to sell out. I think the superstar is a bigger has had a bigger run, so it'll be interesting. I think the superstars might fit.
Wow. And I think there's something to be said. I think to Dwayne's point, there's something to be said in regards to the timing of the release and the fact that Adidas have actually sought him out and said, look, I don't know what the conversation would have happened, but the optics for me is there's a certain sense of them struggling to be relevant within the culture. So they most probably tapped up who they thought is one of the most influential at the moment in short Wotherspoon, said to him, look, we've got an iconic shoe. We want your magic on that shoe. Shauna said, you're all right, cut me a check and I'll do something. And this is the result of it, which to me, it's, yeah, whatever.
Well, what's the impact of it though? What is the impact of it in comparison to the Nike shoe? It seems like it's nothing.
Dead food.
It seems like it's nothing.
Dead food.
When you, yeah, it is. But then again, it's that thing of the Nike shoe had an 18-month run in regards to advertising promotion. Again, this show Wotherspoon has literally just come out of the blue. I think it's probably had 3 months promotion, if that, and it hasn't even had promotion. So again, I personally think that Nike, in regards to their marketing, their advertising, and how they do things, is just far superior. And I think, as much as some of us and most of us probably don't like Sean Wotherspoon, the project he did with Nike was superior to a lot of stuff that we've seen. And if you look at the stuff that happens with the Virgil, the Off-White stuff, like the way that Nike sneak it in or allow you to see bits and bobs or see what's coming in the next 8 months or whatever it may be through people's photo shoots or through London Fashion Week, it's not genius, but they've got their marketing down to a T. I just think Adidas, they just missed it. And that's why I can't necessarily blame Sean for the failure of a trainer. You have to blame the company that is helping you push your trainer out.
Well, In regards,
Yeah.
hold on, sorry. In regards to the Nike shoe, Sean was helped by a handful of people in the sneaker game to put that shoe together, as well as a wide berth of promotional time. And this is what I meant in terms of storytelling. You allowed all of us to read the book, read it over again, point this, that out about it, discuss it, see it on people's feet, and good to go. And then carried on the whole Nike thing afterwards and cement it. And then he was moved on himself. The ASICs, it's like, yeah, it's happening. Yeah, it's with, who is it? Atmos. But you're not seeing the same amount of storytelling or for the same period. And then all of a sudden he's with Adidas. Do I invest in ASICs? No, because you haven't yourself. You're not convincing me that you're even good with ASICs yourself, let alone the consumer.
Dwayne's preaching on Friday night.
Go on, Antoine, you're dying.
Yeah.
What you're saying?
Going back to what Rain said, we can't say it's failed yet though, because the shoe hasn't come out yet. Because I still think the superstar, you know, the Sean Wotherspoon superstars, I still think it will sell out. So we can't say it's failed quite yet. Let's see what happens when it gets released.
I hear that, Anton, but you cannot dismiss the fact that, to Rain's point, the Air Max 97 ones, they had 18 months.
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
Adidas, it's been, it's Dwayne's point. We've not even had time to pick up the book and look at the title page. It's literally, here it is, boom, it's in your face.
Yeah, yeah.
Nike just seem to know, they know what they're doing. That's what it is. Because if you look at the Off-Whites, Off-White they have their own shoe, but I don't know if any one of us has one of their shoes. And even that Jerry Lorenzo stuff is amazing. That we can't knock that. But the Fear of God Nike collab is kind of what took most people to the brand. So the Nike machine and marketing people, we can't kind of discount their impact on the reception of these shoes. And a crazy way to think of it is, if Adidas released this very same shoe that Wotherspoon did, would it have got the same sort of culture? Would it have had the same cultural impact if Adidas released the same shoe, just replace the logo?
That's a good question.
No,
I don't think so, long and short. And the reason being is the cultural approach. You've got to think, Nike are an American brand, so everything's going to have a whole heap of razzmatazz. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be brash, and so on and so forth. If you look at Adidas being a European company, there's a certain air of relying on the product rather than the whole razzmatazz approach. So I think the long and short, no. However, if you're talking about quality build and how the shoe's put together and so on and so forth, you may argue differently. But that, for me, that's my standpoint in terms of the difference between your American brands and your European brands in terms of how they would approach marketing and how they would put a shoe out to the marketplace, in my opinion.
You have to imagine as well, Nike aren't actually the ones who are doing, I mean, Nike are signing off the marketing executions, but it's agencies like Wieden and Kennedy that are actually doing it. It's not Nike. But you have to imagine as well, with the 97 one, that whole campaign was a complete marketing exercise. They got they made you think that you chose the shoe.
That is genius. That is genius. Yeah. Wow. All right. We've got a few new. In fact, Rain, this is your thing. So
what Ben Parker is just put on his video. Boom, he's in the building.
Bro,
Hey.
literally, man's feeding my son right now. Look.
Hey.
So listen, I'm gonna jump back in because I know I see the message. So let me finish off feeding him off, and I'll jump back and see if you guys are still on. Yeah.
All right, then, cool.
All right, cool.
And then we have somebody else. Want to introduce yourself?
Kwesi.
Hey.
What are you saying?
We're good. Well, I am anyway.
Do you know what? My bad. I totally forgot. I've literally just come in from work, and then I just seen it on, and I thought, oh no, let me just jump in. So I don't even know what you guys are discussing at the moment.
No, we're just going home now.
Yeah, it's been a great show. Now, you know what? In regards to the discussion, so obviously, as you've come in, you've kind of given us a clean slate. So obviously, the purpose of this is that when you join, you have a question. So have you got a question that you want to ask everyone that's sat down here?
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking about it today. What's your opinions on sneaker culture impacting skateboard culture?
Wow,
With the SBs.
that's a good question.
Ooh,
Sneaker
Right.
culture impacting skateboard culture.
And let me give you an example.
Okay.
It wasn't so bad with the Strange Loves. In Manchester, there was a turning point with the Safaris, with the demand, and then the skateboard kind of shops understanding of what was going on, the trouble that ensued, and then the revising of what has to happen now with forthcoming releases. But just in general, like, the SBs blew up, in my opinion. Well, from what I saw, they blew up, especially when COVID came. It was almost like it was a new opportunity for the skateboard or the independent to kind of like use this moment to really build something. So I won't really carry on, but that's my question anyway.
regarding SBs and everything, a few years ago, you could pick up all the most popular SBs now for retail or less than retail. They weren't doing well in terms of skate shops that were only getting SBs and they weren't really selling out the gate. It was very hard times for them. So now that there's a resurgence in terms of how much demand against the supply, it's a natural thing that they're going to jump on it. However, it's happened so fast. The SB shops are happy they've got all of this popularity back, but they haven't been versed on how to handle it.
Yeah.
I feel like they improved though. I feel like in the last couple of months they're getting better handling things now, a little bit better than they were at the beginning of the year. I feel like some of them have stepped up big time, especially that remixer. Is it Blackburn?
Yeah.
I feel like they're starting to really step up and how to handle things. Not just them, but others as well. But
Yeah,
like I said, from the beginning, they've definitely improved on that now.
I have a follow-on question. In that, where do we point to in terms of the resurgence of the SB craze? What
Nike.
But more specifically, Dwayne, in terms of what was the catalyst? Why is it now that everyone is all over it?
Travis Scott, Jordan collabs. He's popular in terms of he had his Netflix documentary, all the hype around the Jordans he's producing. So then it's like, look, we want to bring Dunks back for 2019, 2020, 2021. Throw them his way and bang. That's what we have now.
Can I also say, I think, oh, sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, please, go.
Yeah, I also think as well, it's to do with the pricing as well, because you look at it, Dunks and SB Dunks are reasonably good price. And what we're noticing now with Jordans and Air Maxes, what's happening? The price is going up. And it's getting more expensive and more expensive. Dunks, just like Air Force Ones to a certain degree, well, Dunks are cheaper than Air Force Ones, depending on which ones you go and get. like even your most top tier Dunk SB are costing about, I think, what, 110, 120 at the very highest. But most of them are like, you know, 85, 90 quid. And because they're popular now, it's cheaper for people that won't buy them. You could buy, what, 2 pairs for the price of one if you're buying a pair of Jordans, top tier Jordan. So I think it's a pricing thing as well.
Do you think that they're following the same recipe that they did late 2000s? Sorry, yeah, the late noughties, where it was, you know, where SB was, their storytelling was just so experimental. They did whatever the fuck they wanted. Like, I'm in an MF Doom Dunk. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, and now it seems like they're doing exactly the same thing again. So anything that is, it's just, it seems very anti-hype, leaning towards what Patrick was saying, which is essentially, you know, is working against itself because it is becoming hype. But, you know, like, the storytelling is half of the stuff, like, you know, nobody, I don't believe, I say about 80% of people who went for the Grateful Dead dunks even knew who the Grateful Dead were before the dunk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, I think it's the storytelling. It's just fantastic storytelling.
Yeah. Big time.
I was going to say something.
Can I ask a quick question? I always show my ignorance sometimes, but do you know, did Virgil's take on, was it the dunk he did, the 3 different colorways?
Yeah.
Was that a dunk, cast as a dunk though?
What, the rubber dunk that's coming out?
No, the one that came out in the blue,
did,
the red,
colorways,
and the green.
The red, the green.
Yeah, they're dunks. They're dunks.
So this is going to sound really ignorant, but I like to learn, because I managed to get a pair of those for my daughter. And it wasn't until recently I was like, actually, wait a minute. These are dunks. Like, my first point of call when I read something was like, yeah, Virgil's really trying to do something with a dunk. And then I read something somewhere where he said 2020 is going to be a crazy year for dunks, whatever. But I never saw that from a skateboarding thing. I just saw it as a thing Virgil touched first off. And then with the rest of these, I've learned more about the skateboard background of it. So but for me, to the question before, as a guy who's not got the history, so to speak, with SB, that was the thing that was like, oh, right, okay, that trainer, what Virgil touched. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, the thing with that goes back to Nike. Nike's agenda was for 2020 to introduce dunks back into the system again. We had that before with the Be True to Your School collection, the Destroyer collection. Emil, you'll remember that. So we've had it once before, and then it's coming back again. So then with that, you've got your big players, your Virgils, your Travis Scott. Nike are saying, look, we're on a dunk thing this year. We'll give you an SB and we'll give you these normal dunks. We will also introduce the history, hence why they came out again, like with the off-white ones. They came out in the college colors or colors that had come previously. So for the old school, they'd buy into it. And then for the new school, it's like, wow, I like this, but oh, I actually know this has a history to it.
Yeah, good, great. Thanks, that makes sense.
Defo. I think also to add, and I think Emil's somewhat alluded to it, I think the last, so the last 10 years or the late noughties, everyone's into, well, not everyone, but those that were into dunks, and you had the whole storytelling, the whole wackiness, and the fact that the dunks generally are even though they're skater shoes, conceptually they're very experimental. And what I feel has happened now over the last 2-3 years is social media has really been able to really pump this up. So your Travis Scotts, your Kylie Jenners, all your top tier influencers have been able to really pimp that model out. And they've done it with the yesteryear classics, your Jedis, your Reese Forbes, all of those shoes. And the fact that you're seeing such classic nostalgic collabs on today's top tier influencers, naturally it's going to generate a real buzz and interest. And I mean, a lot of people are salty where, was it Kylie Jenner bought out, is it Fratillations Collection or something like that?
Yeah,
Bits and bobs.
no, she bought them off him. Yeah.
Right. So all of that all adds to that narrative, all adds to the fact that it's basically given the Dunk SBs a platform in which, when you've got your Strange Loves popping, when you've got your Chunky Dunkins popping, where you've got your Cactus Jack, people want them. Because people basically want to be like Travis Scott, like your Kylie Jenner. That whole social media top tier influencer thing, it's a real drug amongst the masses today.
Are we forgetting Janoski?
Sorry?
Are we forgetting Janoski?
Janoski?
No Janoski?
There's the border, the skateboarder.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
He had a big deal with Nike when it came to his shoes, and the younger generation were really following him, and the shoes were a really, really good price point as well. They weren't expensive at all. So kids from all different backgrounds who were skateboarding, let's say early, about 2010 to 2014, when kids were boarding a lot, they were all picking up the Janoskis, so especially from Nike Town. They would go there specifically because they used to restock quite quickly and pick up the shoes at £45, £55, and top £75. So they were pretty popular then as well.
Definitely. It's like what Dwayne said. Before 2018, you could pick up SB Dunks.
You couldn't give them away.
Yeah.
If you tried to resell a Dunk SB a few years ago, you couldn't give it away.
You couldn't.
And even the likes of your What the Dunks and Pigeon Dunks, the OG ones, back then you could buy them for hundreds rather than the thousands that they're worth today. It's mad.
It is mad. It is mad. But I do have a question I kind of want to use to wrap up, and staying on theme as well. Given the current craze of the SB Dunks, will it die? Is it going to die? Is this just another cyclical moment in sneaker culture?
I don't think it's going to die. I just think it's having its moment now. To be honest, I saw it coming from 2017, like the end of 2017 with the pigeons, the blackout pigeons.
Yeah.
The infrared. So that, and then when I saw Travis Scott wearing it in his sticker mode video, he was wearing one of the SB Dunks then. I was like, it's going to come. It's coming. It's a slow builder. It's coming. And then bang, obviously it's back in, Dunk Lows / SPs are back in. So I feel that it's going to have its moment. It will continue for a while, but I think eventually it will start to slow down. It will start to dip a bit because eventually these, people want to jump onto the next thing. So in my opinion, but I think it's going to be a while before it starts dipping down a little bit.
Yes, the way.
So if SB continue to keep the numbers very low and they don't put them into any other stores, then it will carry on for a very, very, very long time. If that changes, where it goes into other stores and the numbers become a lot higher, then it will fizzle out, definitely. Or it lasts as long as Nike want it to. So if they said in 2022, we're focusing purely on the Air Force One or some obscure shoe, they'll shift the change where they just won't focus on it no more.
Just, sorry, you mentioned something and I just want to kind of ask a digressing question. You say potentially SB Dunks could go into other stores. Would the model then not lose its authenticity because it's available in other outlets?
I don't think it will lose the authenticity. I think it will stay there. I think what will happen is there'll be that separation. So, I'm not even if this analogy works, but you've got a sneakerhead trainer and then you've got a general release trainer. So think of it like this: the Air Max 1. You've got Air Max 1s that come out in JD Sports that some of us don't even look at twice. But then you've got Air Max 1s that come out, and when we had, so let's go back to the Independence Day pack, which came out in the sand, the green, and the black. So those were quite sought after. You know what I mean? It was quite a limited release. But your JD Sports person that goes into JD Sports to buy a pair of Air Max 1s would never have known about them. So I think what will happen is there'll be that separation. And I think Nike might be playing a clever game where they're trying to separate the exclusive stuff like your Chunky Dunkies, your Civilist and blah, 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 and then drip feed the dunk, whether it be the SB dunk or just a normal dunk, into the high street shop to create more awareness. Now with that, you create more sales. Remember, ultimately, these companies don't care. They don't care about what the trainer is and the history is to an extent. They care about the sales that they can get from it. So Travis Scott, Virgil, they're part of an elaborate plan. And remember I spoke about having a 3, a 5, a 7, and a 10-year plan? This is a part of it. Okay, Travis Scott maybe not a part of a 10-year plan because when they were thinking about it, he wasn't around then. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. So it's all marketing. So there's part of the plan. So don't be surprised if you see dunks in JD Sports this year and they're selling out, or they're not selling out, but then there's another Chunky Donkey 2, which no one can get hold of.
It sounds like a case of the mids. All of a sudden, mids that are going into JD Sports, people are going wild for them, and I'm like,
I don't understand how. I don't understand how.
I
don't understand how.
I understand it, and I don't agree with it, but this is Nike's strategy. The top tier is the Jordan 1 high for the aficionados and all of that. To the untrained eye, a mid, high, or high, whatever, it's still a Jordan 1. I'm going to grab that. And it's in a shop that I can literally walk into and grab. That's why it's working, and that is their strategy. It's like Ralph Lauren, where you have purple label, black label, silver label. You've got the highest purple or black, where only the few can afford it, or it's very small numbers. Then by the time you get to blue label, that's a polo shirt that anyone can grab. But you might see a polo shirt on a footballer. So you can afford it, but the rich and famous still rock it the same way like you.
But can I ask another question? Quick.
Yeah, sure.
Can someone explain to me the colour box situation with the SBs? You get the one with the rainbow colour, then you get the purple. Like, what's the whole thing with, and then you get the turquoise with the black. And
they change them every season.
So that's not a tiered thing?
No, they just change them every season.
Okay. I got one more question that digresses.
Go for it, man. Fling them out.
Okay. Question to the panel. Yeah. The Sneakers Day disappointment, I didn't get it day one. By the following Wednesday, I really understood how, especially Air Max 1 collectors took that one hard. Jokes aside, it wasn't. And I was thinking, I've probably asked some of you guys individually, but in terms of platforms like yourself, in the next couple of years, I personally was thinking that platforms like yourself could be the go-between between what's going on the street and what's happening in the corporate. What do you see yourselves like that? What do you think the role of a platform like yourselves and other guys will do in terms of the future, stuff like that not happening again? Because I didn't get it.
You didn't get what?
I didn't. Okay, so for example, with for what happened on Sneakers Day, because I was fortunate, I got an exclusive access. So I got an exclusive access for a shoe, but no one else knew that shoe was being dropped. And so what happened is most people felt that the banned the Air Max 1 men's and the ladies was the only thing that was dropped when a load of exclusive accesses came. But just looking at Twitter, there was a lot of people who got exclusive access to Air Max 1s who didn't know what the Air Max 1 was. I was asking the question, like, are these any good? And it just seemed a bit like, well, in one hand, some other people who've got a chance to get hold of something. But on the other hand, a lot of collectors, a lot of guys who've bought into Nike, the ID ones and all those things, missed out. And it just seemed like, well, you've missed the trick here. But then I see guys like yourselves in a platform where you guys have got his history, experience, you are collectors yourselves, a lot of you have got heat yourselves, and there's a rich history. Like, how can that be? I don't know, I was just thinking, like, it just seems like it's there, but how do you see yourselves? Do you see yourselves as that go-between? Because I feel I literally trust you guys more than I do the guys making the decisions at Nike.
Dwayne, oh, sorry. Go on, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for your excellent words. Here at the panel, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I see it as we are the in-between between the consumer and the brands. The brands will be watching this, and obviously the consumers are us, as well as we get other consumers onto the show. So we do see ourselves as that bridge or in-between. In regards to everyone here, including yourself, including everyone that's on this Zoom at the moment, we have a rich history of past, present, and going to the future. What happened on what happened on Sneakers Day, it is what it is, isn't it? There's a lot of people that did feedback to some of us or myself or whatever that did say, well, did you manage to get the Air Max 1s, Dwayne, and it's like, no. We keep it moving because it's historically, that's what's happened down the line. There's loads of trainers that are in my collection now that I should have got at retail or should have been given, and all of us as well, that we missed out on, but that's part of the fun. You kind of just have to ignore the negatives and add it to the chase. It's what's made me continue, and many of us continue down the years, that we miss out on stuff and we keep it moving. There is something to be learned by the brands, but hopefully for our platform and what many of us are doing and talking about, that one day they'll clock on and utilize us for a fee.
Defo. Sorry, Rain, go on.
Yeah, I think what it is though, I think the companies try to do a lot in-house, and whether Dwayne said for a fee in jest or he means it, well, I know he means it, but what it is, they hire people who they believe can replicate what, and I'm not saying not just the panel. You've got loads of other factions or entities that do what we do or what we try to do. And what these big corporations do, they try to get you involved, but then they don't either want to pay you for your time, or they try to pay you with a pair of trainers where you got to think. I can't think of a campaign, but someone does a little bit of work for a shoe retailer. The potential return off of the amount of units that they produce, let's say they produce 10,000 units, and that's just a little number. Each unit is sold for £100. Now, that person gets an influencer involved, or an entity like the panel or King of Trainers or Real Soul Family or whoever else, to kind of help get to a demographic that the individual can't reach or the sneakers platform can't reach. But then when they get that return, I can't do the math, so someone do the math for me. Whenever they get that return, they want to give you a pair of trainers which cost them £20 or £30 to make, as opposed to a proper marketing consultancy fee. So in essence, they're trying to do things on the cheap. And that's why if you look at the sneakers app now, again, people are being put on the sneakers app to push a narrative, to create that vision that they have people who are collectors involved, and they're using the right people. And some of these people are getting paid. but some of them aren't. And then in your example in regards to the sneakers day thing, some people were just seeded pairs. But if you look at some of the people that were seeded pairs, like, you know what? If you get a pair of trainers from a sports retailer, hats off to you, because it is difficult work. Quite a few of us have had bits and bobs sent to us. It doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? Now, if Nike have picked you to give you a pair of trainers to do something, like, fair enough. But if you look at people's followings and whatnot, should they have gone there, or should they have gone to someone that has 20,000 followers or 10,000 followers? My thing would be, give it to the small person that's got the 1,000 followers, because maybe their followership is more concentrated and more buying into the individual, as opposed to someone that's got 10,000 followers, where only 2% of that 10,000 are people that actually want to buy trainers.
I mean, just to chime in with my own thoughts, I think the whole sneaker day thing for me this year particularly was a shit show, and only because again, because of COVID. I think, in my honest opinion, I actually think Nike had a grand idea, but because of the current constraints and the current climate, they weren't able to execute that in the way in which they desired. So what we had was a super weak plan B, which arguably you would say they might as well have not bothered. That's
sorry,
my
Pedro,
opinion.
just to jump in, why was it a weak plan B?
Because no one really, from my perception, is that no one really understood what was going on that day. And that's my perception. I'm happy to be corrected or pointed out in terms of way of thinking, but no one really knew what was actually going on the day. Yes, they knew there was a bunch of shoes that were going to be dropped. Yes, there was an element of misinformation, miscommunication in terms of the type of shoes that were being dropped. Yeah. But in essence, the whole spirit of the thing, my general takeaway was no one actually knew what was going on.
See, now, no one knew what was going on, right? But everything sold out, and everybody tried for everything. So, from Nike's point of view, and I think what happens with sneakerheads, the sneaker scene, we want to believe that the people at these brands are as passionate as we are. They don't give a damn. They are selling units. Every single Air Max 1 sold out. The women's Air Max 1 sold out. All of the other stuff that they released, it all sold out. So to the person that's at the top, looking at the numbers, right, that was a success. We haven't got no stock left.
Yeah, job done.
Yeah. For us, we're saying, oh, it was this and it was that, but because we want it to be something else, because we're passionate. Now, realistically, what should have happened is they should have shouted, maybe the panel, and said, right, how can we make this more culturally viable for the sneaker scene? Or shouted word on the feet. How can we make this more culturally viable? Have consultants in. But they're not doing that. They're doing their own thing. The reason being, all they're doing is selling units. They don't want to have to step out of their budgets.
True.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, and to the point I mentioned just before then, the reason why I said people didn't really know what was going on, if you look at your Paris, your Amsterdams, where they were getting the top tier stuff, the exclusive stuff, I think there was a perception that, oh, London will be in line, or the UK will be in line for such a drop, but it never really materialized. And I think for me, and my perception is that all of that added to the fact that, yes, they did achieve their objective. Everything banged, everything sold out. But in terms of the whole orchestration of the day, missing, especially when you see what's going on in your European cities and they're getting, say, Chunky Dunkies or whatever other top shoe that had released in the last 6 months. And yet, so you're of the thinking, oh, London's going to get them, but they don't. Then, you know, so that's just my thoughts on the thing. But yeah, I'm kind of done. I'm done with the whole thing, man.
Can I have a say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll make it as quick as sharp as I can. Personally, I felt this year's was better than last year's, because last year I just thought it was dead. I just thought, you know, when Adidas doing where you have to look for the Easter egg for each, you know, around sneaker on the sneaker app.
I didn't
And
do
then who didn't do it? Sorry,
I didn't do
oh,
it.
you didn't do it.
Nope.
Oh, I was wasting damn time. But yeah, I didn't rate that one because I thought, like, you know, once you found all the eggs, you weren't even guaranteed that you've won it all, and then you have to be selected by a few people. And if you were selected that you've won, you got, you know, early access to certain releases, and you only got to use it once, and you had to use it by the end of the year. That one wasn't. I didn't like that one. Plus that oh, what is it now? I don't know.
Wasn't that the previous year?
No, it was last year because I did the shot drop thing as well, where
Yeah, did you have
go
to run
certain
around London
locations.
though as well?
Yeah, that was last year.
So it was all of that as well. Oh, my memory's fading.
That was that to me was no good because that was only basically to people that was living in London. So what about the rest of the UK? So that was one thing. And then for me, 2018 was the best year because once they, you know, 9 o'clock bang, they gave you a hint of what shoe to look for. And it was basically just going to that, you know, scratching the page and all that. And I thought that one was a better year. This year, to me, they, from what I can remember in terms of just the UK, they gave us the, you know, a 30-minute drop for the Air Max 1 for the brown pair. Then a couple of people were lucky to have early, you know, access to certain crepes. So I know some people got early, you know, got access to the Sakai's, the black pair, the white pair. Then a couple of hours later, it was the Ben and Jerry. And yeah, there you go. And then we all thought it was going to be the Off-White 5s. In the end, it was the Airships. That was a bit of a surprise drop. And then later on throughout the day after that, it was the Off-White 4s. And then I can't remember what else it was. And then the last one to finish it off was the ladies' silver Air Max 1s. So they gave people 3 opportunities, you know, 3 draws to enter for, and then anybody else got a special, you know, access or were selected to get a pair of something. So I thought this year it was better than last year. I thought last year was the worst year. This one wasn't too bad, but again, the way they kind of, you know, especially with the Air Max 1s, because people like Dwayne should be getting at least selected, you know, one of the people that have that, you know, earlier on. You know what I mean? Compared, you know, I'm not knocking anybody who got early access to that, you know, throughout that week, but Dwayne should have been at least one of them. So I was surprised he wasn't selected.
I was surprised too. Dwayne, they mocked you.
I wasn't, and I do not like him.
Seriously, I was very surprised. I thought
that is a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
that is a conversation for another day. To everyone that did get that shoe early access or was a part of the campaign, enjoy your 15 minutes of fame. Enjoy the fact that you got it. As Rain said, it's not an easy thing to get. So it's not to take away from anyone else who did manage to get it. This is why I think expectations should be taken away, because at the end of the day, you can feel that you should get something, but when you don't, should that take away from your love of trainers? No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Because the thing is, if we didn't know any of these brands or have this platform, we'd still be collecting trainers, and there'd be trainers we'd be missing out on anyway. We'd still try and go after them if you truly love them.
Boom. I think that's actually a very good point. And also, I think on that note, I think, yeah, we should call this a wrap. I want to thank all our participants that have featured on the lockdown session. If you have
I just have to apologise if Emil doesn't cut out the edit. I have to apologise to those that didn't get in. I'm not saying that there was technicals. I had an idea of how it was supposed to work in my head, and it didn't work that way. But obviously, we'll work out the kinks for next time. Big up to those that got in. Big up to those that weren't there. We'll prioritise you next time and whatnot.
Yeah, there's going to be a part 2. Definitely going to be a part 2.
Be a whole season.
100%. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you to everyone. Please keep well out there. Let us know your thoughts, and also if you're ready to come on the next one, please let us know via our Facebook or our Instagram.
Boom. Until the next time.
Yeah.
Keep following us.
All right.
Boom.
Take care.
Boom.